Okay, so let me show you lights done right with LumiPro. My model right now is wearing the LumiPro lights, and what LumiPro lights are is a modeling light worn by the model and then controlled by a HUD over here, and this HUD is controlled by the photographer exclusively for the lights that are given to the model. So the way you do this is you press the Give Lights model, and I can give an infinite number of lights to as many models as I need. Ask the model to wear them, and then you have the lights. I'm going to give you an example of how these lights work. She's in her standing pose now, and we can shoot photography, and I've got the colors and the lights and the shadows the way I want them. And then I can also put her in a sitting position, and if you notice, she's still in the light. Well, how is that done? Let me show you, and I'll just turn these lights on. And what you're seeing is three lights that are actually worn like the model. If you're familiar with a face light, the concept is similar, except for a face light is typically controlled by the owner of the light, whereas these lights are actually controlled by the photographer. And I can just effectively walk through as many poses as I want here, and she stays lined up with these lights. Now, normally what you would do is you would turn the lights, you would make the lights visible to set some photography, then you would click the lights off by hitting the power button. It actually didn't turn the lights off, it just made them invisible, so then we can now go shoot photography all we want here. So let's walk you through some of the capabilities of it. Again, you hit the power button and they come back here. So the first thing I can do is I can adjust the intensity. Notice that you'll find that there are three prim, a red prim, a green prim, and a blue prim. These are not the light that the prim emits, but just designators of the prim so I can keep them straight, so when I know when I'm talking to the red one or the green one or the blue one. The sum of red, green, and blue is white, and you'll see here I have a matrix of colors for various things I can do. I can either press the red, green, blue, or I can press white. So let's take, for example, the intensity of white, which would be all the lights, and set them to 0. And you can see she's now in the dark. So if we want to turn on a single light, like the red light, then I would just set the red intensity, select it to about 0.9, and now I'm running with a single light. I can then hit the power button, and then I would run with a single light. There's a ton of photographers that just shoot single light. So, however, we have three lights. Let's continue to play with these things. The second light I have is I call my accent light, and if you notice the position of this thing, this position of this light is typically set into an accent position, at least for my style of photography. Well, I'm going to go ahead and turn this accent light on, and you can see what it has done, when we hit the power button again, is that the accent light has created a line on the dark side of the face to give a little more interest in the dark side without fully lighting and flattening the face. You can still see a depth of control within this thing. Finally, I have a third light. I typically use the third light, and I'll talk about what I mean by typically. I typically use the third light to light the outfit. of I turn the intensity of the last light in, you can see now I've created some color with, or some lighting within the outfit itself. So beyond just adjusting the color, there are or the intensity of the light. I can also adjust the color of the light. For example, I can pick a sepia color, and now all of a sudden she's moved out of a white regime and into a sepia regime. It brings up a percentage menu after this, and I can set it to 100%, which is very sepia, or I can actually start throttling down or taking back the sepia, 0.8, 0.6, 0.4, 0.2, up to all the way to 0, which is effectively a white light. So you can decide how much sepia that you would like to have. There's some other colors in here, for example, a cooling color, which I've used many times. The violets I very much like. There's some other a little more crazy colors. Underwater is an example of one of the crazy colors. A little bit of underwater sometimes is kind of interesting based on the color of their skin and makeup. These are standard colors that exist within the Photoshop filter camp, and they've actually existed well before Photoshop even. I'm just going to select a maybe 20% warming filter for now, just to give a little more warmth to her skin. Now, the second thing that we can do is we can adjust the position of the lights. These lights don't have to be in these standard fixed positions. There are 4 basic and fundamental lighting positions. You've seen one, and there are 4 quick buttons just to set some lighting quickly. The first one is called butterfly, and let me stop animating her for a second so she stays put here. A butterfly light is a light that's straight on, slightly above the head, creates a shadow under the nose shaped like a butterfly. The screen light I've got hiding in the background, and then there's a little light on the outfit. This is one of the kind of basic lightings and lighting lighting theory. Rembrandt is the one we were playing with before, where one light goes high into the to one side of the model, and a second light comes in as an accent on the dark side, and then we also have the lighting outfit. Rim lighting is kind of a special purpose lighting, but what it does is it moves the lights behind and just effectively, and you can see it, it's kind of cool actually, lights just the rim of the model up. And then last but not least is this one called split lighting. And split lighting is where you're trying to create an equal lighting on each side. So let's say you have some situation, let's go for example to the Rembrandt lighting, and you decide that you like it, but there's just a little too much shadow on this side of the face. What could we do about that? Well, one option would be to move the primary light over. Visualize this in real life terms. We could move this primary light over so it's not so dominant on one side of the face. The way you move a light in with this tool, and the photographer is the only one that can do this, is where you touch on the ball becomes the new move point for the ball. So I want to move it closer to her nose, maybe slightly out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the mouse or move the visibility of the window, and then just touch. And now I've moved this closer. I may want to pull this away from her, so I'm just going to touch the outside of the ball out. And you can see now, let me turn this light off because it's kind of in the way. You can see now I've reduced some of the dominance of this light. Let's say I wanted to have a little more accent on this side. The way I could do that is just to pull this accent light, and I'll touch the green light, and I'll move this thing over a little bit. Okay. The second thing we can do is obviously the blue light can be moved around as well. And let's say I want to move this slightly closer to her clothing. I'm going to kind of have to do a little tricky move here to get to touch that inside. But now I've pulled that light closer to her. I can then hit this restore button and hit save. And now it's one of the saved positions of these lights. You may want to use this on other photographers. Then I could go back and try some of the other light positions and then come back and then just restore the old light to the old position that we had that you liked. That's it for the basic lighting. Last thing I wanted to show you, and you probably saw a little of that, is that LumiPro also has a posing system. So you can purchase commercially available poses like the ones that I have been running. And with these commercially available poses, you can use these poses to model the adjust the models. Got a little lag going on here. What typically you can do then is get the lights the way you want it, and then fire off a set of photography. In fact, you can even push the button even though it's hidden, and run through a set of poses that you like, and then shoot. And if you need to make an adjustment, you can turn the lights on and go tweak to a light, or maybe you want to change change to a slightly different color scheme, and then you can continue shooting, continue picking another set of poses. LumiPro also has the ability to catalog your poses into male poses or female poses, and then there's ways to actually save your catalog, so in case a Second Life freaks out, we don't lose it. So in a nutshell, you now see the capability of LumiPro. In a second, we'll take it out in world and do a touch of photography. Okay, so let's run LumiPro through its paces. I'm up in my condo right now, and we're going to do some photography with her. The nice thing about shooting with LumiPro is I can shoot outside of studios. I don't need to res. I don't need to post stand. I don't need to have backdrops. I can use the rich set of backdrops that exists in the world and shoot not only in no build sims, but I can also shoot in no script sims as well. So let's take it through its paces. First thing I'm going to do is I'll just turn down some of the ambient lights in the room. Go to the sky settings and take down the ambient and take down the sun and moon. And then I'm going to turn on the lights. And you'll see once they turn on, the lights kick in. It's kind of surprising to see that first time. Let's then go to the scene gamma, and I'm going to brighten things up a little bit on her relative to that background. Good. Now, I can choose some of the preset poses. I can choose the butterfly. I can choose rim or split. Let's start this time with split lighting. So I'm going to move the lighting a little bit left and right, and her face is a little bit dark. I'm actually going to take the intensity of all the lights and turn them all the way up. And the first thing I want to do is I want to get a little more balance on her face here. I'm going to actually pull this red light a little bit back. I'm actually going to take a little bit backwards this time. I'm going to pull the green light out, and again, I move it where I touch it is where the light goes. And I'm going to move this red light back a little bit more and a little bit up. This is interesting lighting. Now, I'm not getting a lot of lighting on her chest because of this green light is so close. What I can do is just take the radius of the green light down. It lights her face more, and I need to probably pull it off her outfit a little bit and closer to her face. And in the process of doing that, I will catch her face. Probably need to set the radius to 0.5 maybe. And there we go. So we can take a look at this lighting. I can actually stop, and I can stop posing the model for a second here to just take a look at the lighting and see how it looks. And it's a little flat, so we're going to make a couple more changes to it here. I'm going to move this red light back a bit further here. I'm going to pull him so it's off her face a little bit more. There, that's kind of what I want to do. And I want to make sure this intensity of this green light is all the way up, which it is. And to make it a little more dramatic, I can pull it closer to her face. Good. I can raise this red light up a little bit. This is pretty close to the lighting. I can check her outfit lighting and see if I'm happy with that. And I can always hide the lights while we do this analysis and go, yeah, that's not bad. It's just a little dark in one part of her head. I'm just going to lift this red light up just a touch. Okay, so now let's take a look at the color. We're on a white light now. I could pick a cooling light, but it's such a warm room, I really wouldn't value cooling. I tend to go to this warming light perpetually and maybe make it around 0.2. I think that's a good choice for what we're doing now. Okay, so we have some lights the way we want them. Now, I can readily take photography this way. As we talked about before, I can actually model her, and I have a wheel here, and I can actually select, for example, the female poses and walk through and demo poses, by the way, or some static poses that I created myself when I was first investigating posing. And then there's this wheel here. If I click on this side, it actually goes the next pose one way, or I can take it the next pose another way. This is a good pose for by the piano, personally. So then I can come in and get the right angle. Now, let's talk about the eyes. If you notice, her eyes are actually not pointing in a useful place right now. So let's talk about that for a second. The way one does this, and I've got my other computer here, is you ask the model to alt and click on something and their eyes will move around. So if I have her alt and click on me, let me zoom in on this just a little bit more so you can see this. It's kind of a crazy high up, and I could ask her, can you look down more? Can you look down more? I'm clicking on my shoes. Okay, that's better. Now we're clicking on the floor. It's a little too far over one way. And you would just sit there and do all this crazy dialogue trying to get the eyes in the right spot. There's another way to do it that I'm going to show you now, and this is with the gazing system that LumiPro has. So once I have Angora selected as a model, and if she's not selected, I go to the models button and I would select her, then I actually have this whole eye gazing system up here, which is new to LumiPro 3. If I res this, and this is the only part of LumiPro that does require resing, and now a prim exists. And we ask her to just look at this prim, and I'll show you why. When we have her zoom in and then alt click on this, she is now looking at this prim. So I can then go, that eye's kind of high, so I can then go click on the arrows, click down, or I could just edit this and you can see that her eye is moving. Now, it's interesting to be able to click on this object, but you can see I have to keep moving this thing around. What would be better is if I could actually control this by the HUD. Bingo! So let me back out so you can see this. I have the same set of arrows here that I did on the device itself. I can go up, down, left, and right. By the way, I want to make a comment that notice that it isn't just going north, south, east, west, up, down. It's actually arcing around the model. So I can pretty much pick any arced angle that I want and then have it work with it. Now, what's even cooler is the joystick has fine control than this. If I click halfway between left and center, then it moves some left. If I can, then I can move it a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. I can also go right the same way. I can go up the same way. I can go down. I can mix the lefts and rights. So now what I can do then is look at the model, see that her eyes are crazy high, and I can just go click, click, click down. Notice that her eye is moving, and I can decide what I would like her to look at. Let's say I want her to look, that's not a bad position to look. We could maybe consider adjusting the eye a little bit more. Disable it. Now we have her eye in a great shot. Then I come in, hit the snapshot button, and hit save. And there you go, LumiPro in a nutshell. It does lighting, lighting control, works in zero res sims. It also has a pose system and a pose cataloging system, as well as an eye management system. That's it. Hope you guys have fun.